Hey guys, I'm Dave.
And I'm Len.
And we went to Rockcon, was it like 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago, yes.
Yeah, Rockcon's a little convention that takes place in Rockford, Illinois once a year. I like it quite a bit. It's got mostly miniature games. Quite a few of them are historically themed. They also have some board games and some fantasy stuff and some science fiction stuff. And they have a silent auction that I like to go to. What I really like about their silent auction is not everything's on auction. A lot of stuff has a buy it now price, so you can just, if you want to pay the buy it now, you can just go buy it and you don't have to wait around for the auction to be done. So I always buy stuff there. What was the first game you played? We were there, what, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday?
Yeah, Friday I played a Battle of the Bulge game. This was one of those, if you know about the Battle of Bulge, both sides had like 500,000 soldiers fighting. But the first penetrations the Germans did, it's like, you had about a couple small battles where like a couple American battalions versus a couple German battalions. And this is one of the battles. And it was a rule set I wasn't familiar with. I had the German army who had a bunch of good modifiers for initiative rolls, and I lost 2/3 of them. But I told them I was hoping that the karma, I'll lose the initiative rolls if I get fantastic luck with combat and morale checks, but I did about average because I was learning. Each turn, I was getting more familiar with the game and the rule system. And the problem also, when I started, the light was dim, and this handout with all the charts and table, I was having a hard time reading it. But I think at a certain point, the light went up, and I had no problems. And of course, the thing was, it took a couple turns. This was a slow game, because this took most of the night. In fact, I left an hour early to drive back. If this was a hotel I was staying, I would stay till the bitter end. But I was just beginning to learn the system and everything. In fact, if I were doing the game again, I would attack differently. But otherwise, I liked it.
Yeah, Friday I was supposed to play a game that was, I think, 15mm Martians vs. Humans. It was that rule set, what's the name of that rule set? That's War of the Worlds, basically. Whatever it is. We were supposed to play that, but there was a screw-up, and they accidentally marked this game as canceled, so I'm the only one who showed up, so there wasn't enough people to play it, so I ended up playing one of HMGS's games, one of Kevin's games. It was a British vs. German desert game in World War II, where the British ambushed a German convoy. It was kind of cool because the German convoy did what they're supposed to do. They went into a herringbone formation in order to allow the trucks to get out of the ambush. So the British player was basically had to destroy a certain amount of the German forces in order to win. I think at the end of the game we did, so that's good. But it was pretty realistic. It wasn't using Flames of War. It was using Kevin's rule set. I can't remember what it's called, though. Panzer something or the other. But what'd you play on Saturday?
Okay, Saturday morning I had Formula DE or Formula One race. It took me, it was at the same scale as Speed Circuit, but it took me a lap to get Speed Circuit out of my mind. Because what you do is you set your stick to whatever gear you want to be in, and then you roll a dice depending on what gear you're in. For instance, if you're in fourth gear, you roll like a D8, and it tells you whether you move 1 to 8 squares. And the thing is, you could only upshift one. I think there was something about upshift one, but you can go down. But you have all sorts of like wear factors, tires, and everything, and also the turns. You don't have the turns marked as speed. What it is, it tells you how many turns you have to be in that turn. So if you get a turn of one, you have to spend one movement phase stopped in that turn.
Mm.
Otherwise, you wear out tires and gears and fun stuff like that. And I played very cautiously because I wasn't used to the system. Because I was going to do one, and they told, no, you don't want to do that. It's dangerous. Okay. I calculated that I had a 60% chance of succeeding, which is pretty good. But also, if I failed, I'd have all sorts of wear problems. So I was new to this game.
Mm.
So actually, I was enjoying it better. That with the dice rolling, I had instances where I roll low, but some guy near me rolls high, so he whips past me. Of course, I did the same at other times too. So the die rolling adds a little uncertainty to it. So, but I was thinking next time I play it, I'll be more familiar with my chances and do much better.
Yeah, I saw the setup for that game. It looked pretty cool. It looked like it took forever though to play.
Yeah, it did take forever. And one thing I should note that there were about 8 people, and my judgment, at least 5 of them had played this before.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and it's like, well, actually, I think there was one guy essentially crashed his car because he wanted to go over to another game or do something.
Mm-hmm.
So, and because one guy was doing stuff, and they're going, don't worry about it. He does this all the time, He drives, really recklessly, and he either wins or ends up last. The Dan Gurney type driver. So, like I said, I was dealing with experienced people. So, but when you play the first time, you're always a little cautious.
Hmm. Yeah, I played a game, I think it was called 15 millimeter, not 40K. Essentially, it was Warhammer 40K Space Marines and 15 millimeter versus 15 millimeter Imperial Guard. I was the Space Marines. That was a rough game. It didn't use the regular Warhammer rules. It used a rule set this guy had created on his own. And it was a non-bloody rule set. What I mean by that is you could throw 12 dice, and you probably make like one wound, that was it, on a troop or something. Or you might not kill anything at all, so it was not bloody at all. And essentially the Space Marines had to move forward and kill some governor who was a bad guy or something, and has had some Imperial Guard working for him. So I got an entire squad of Space Marines, the ones with the jetpacks, going up against the governor. And he was in a building which had exactly one door and no windows that I was allowed to go through, and he'd only allow 2 Space Marines through at a time or something. And it's got all this pushing and stuff where if you get in close combat with someone, the result may be you just push the guy back or something. So with an entire squad of Space Marines and like 4 turns left of the game, I couldn't kill his governor due to the shitty dice rolls and the fact that it was a non-bloody game. So I don't know. The rule set would be pretty good if they made it more bloody. But yeah, I mean, I had fun and stuff. It was just very frustrating.
Oh, one thing I should... there was a complaint at the convention about not having space between games. Because with the formula game, that went over. And, actually, nobody's really complaining because we were having fun. But the problem, I was scheduled for a Avalon Hill chariot race game.
Oh, I saw that. It looked cool.
Yeah. The problem was that one started on time. And he had all the players going, and, I didn't want to, ruin things by jumping in.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because when a convention doesn't have any time between the game and then the next one, it really hurts the dealers there, because there's no time for people to shop. And when from what I've seen at conventions and stuff, there's not a whole lot of people shopping at the dealers. It's like usually the time is like when they have like an hour break for lunch or something between games, then you'll have a bunch of people who go to the dealers. But the rest of the day, when there's no break whatsoever, it's like almost no one's going to the dealer booth. So that hurts the dealers pretty bad.
Yeah, and also a lot of people meet and talk, and this gives them a chance. 'Cause, sometimes, like I mentioned, we have convention buddies because a lot of people, wargamers, don't live in your hometown. They may not live in your home state.
Yeah, there's a bunch of people I know who I talk to. I only see them at conventions.
Yeah. Okay. And so what I did, Pete has had his Snoopy versus the Red Baron game, and nobody wanted to play it.
I played that one time at AirCon.
So I told him, we might as well, give me some refresh. Because when I played it, I told him I have a Fokker triplane. Most maneuverable aircraft of the First World War. Yet I'm doing all these wide turns, all these softwood camels are turning inside me. Okay, what am I doing wrong? Mm-hmm. And I think I'm getting a better idea of how to play his game. Because to me, it's totally different from any aircraft system I've ever played. Mm-hmm. So even though it was something Wings of War or something.
Well, I mean, it's got some similarities to that, but it's completely different. That time I played Snoopy, and I got shot down by the Red Baron. Or who does Pete always play the Red Baron?
Yes.
Yeah.
His hero.
Yeah.
Don't in his presence you don't say anything bad about the Red Baron. And he gets mad when you bring up the subject of Mick Mannix or Renee Falk, the Allied Aces.
And then the last game we played that day was, what was it, B-Movie?
The B-Movie, he did mention that this is like Kelvin Ball, where they make up things as they go along.
Mm-hmm. It reminds me of a game that used to be played at Little Wars years back. I think the guy who used to run it is either is no longer alive or no longer goes to Little Wars. But anyhow, there was a cowboy game, and essentially there's very little rules, and you do whatever you want. So you're trying to do things that would make people laugh and stuff by your actions. Like B-Movie's kind of like that too.
Yeah. Because we were separated in teams of 3. I had Dave on the team. We had this other guy. I don't know his name because he didn't wear a name tag. And when I asked what his name was, he didn't tell me. And he had terrible personal habits. So
I remember that guy. Yeah.
So I ended up
the guy who was blown. This guy, I just got.
You don't have to describe it.
No, I'm gonna. He would take his shirt, go up like that, and blow his nose in his shirt. No Kleenex or anything there. He'd just blow the snots onto the inside of his shirt. I saw it once. I was like, I did not see that right. And then he did it again, and I was like, oh my God.
Well, somebody else had done his team. They had some guy. Well, yeah, I thought that he thought was crazy because the way he was shouting. And I told him, wasn't that part of the character? Because we had like a team of barbarians from some cartoon show. I don't. I remember the few moments I talked to him, the guy thought we were supposed to stay in character. Well, because he looked up the character and he had a spellcaster. And I told him, this is like you ask the referee if you can do this, because I think at one point I convinced him that he should be casting spells to teleport me. And I also told the referee that, I went to someplace, one of the light poles, and by reading the manuals, I convinced them that all magic tomes are written like electrical manuals.
Well, we were at a severe disadvantage since we were barbarians, and I mean, it was like looked like it was kind of World War II era of the game, and we didn't understand technology and stuff. So anytime we encountered like some equipment and we wanted to use it or something, the rolling was against us since we were barbarians. So we were at like a severe disadvantage.
Yeah, but I'm the one who told him, oh, gee, this is a magic circle. Look for places that would have magic circles.
Yeah.
And, when the thing appeared, it's like, okay, that's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And here's my beef with the game. I mean, that's just like a beer and pretzels fun type game that's trying to be fun, you know what I mean? And it was fun. But you're supposed to find some magic circle, and to me, it looked like they waited until the game was about to end, and then they said, oh yeah, the circle is there when some unit was near it. And there was no like marker underneath the building saying, yeah, there was the magic circle. So I suspect they were waiting until the game was done to determine where the magic circle was. and it was like in the middle, exactly in the middle of the borders. I don't know. I just felt like it wasn't predetermined.
Now,
I could be wrong.
I contend, as a barbarian, that I would not attack the being from another planet that was a dimension that was going to destroy Earth. Then instead I went to the human sacrifices, freed them, ravished them, and made them slaves. But I'm just being a barbarian. Of course, Dave did. You're the one who killed the menace from another dimension.
Yeah, that was in that railroad car or whatever. Yeah.
So.
And the thing is, like, yeah, when you'd open a railroad car, they'd be like, oh, well, there's 3 of this alien, and they put them on the board. It's like, why not put them in the railroad car? Because I was just getting the feeling he was just deciding in his head whether something was there or not. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's the impression I was getting.
Yeah. So, one thing about the convention, they serve good food. That's one thing I like about
It's expensive, though. The hamburger's like $10 or something, and that's not very big. But it does. You're right. It does taste good. It's just not very big.
Yeah. So,
I ended up eating at a restaurant nearby. I think I ate at Rockcon once, and all the other meals I just went to one of the nearby restaurants.
Now I go for the meals because the hamburgers are great. The hot dogs are great.
They also have pork chop sandwiches for people who like that.
I haven't tried that, so the food was good. But that ends Saturday night. Of course, we can tell them about Sunday morning.
Yeah, Sunday we played that one board game. Let me check on my phone. I forget what it was called. It was kind of interesting.
Crossing Oceans or something?
Yeah, Crossing Oceans. Like some Euro board game. It took a while to figure out the rules, which is how Euros typically are. But once we figured it out, it was pretty interesting. I didn't win. Some other guy did. But the problem with Euros is the first time, at least with me, the first time I play a Euro, I usually lose. And then then when I know the rules, the second time I play it, I'm much better.
Yeah, what happened was actually I signed up for Age of Renaissance. But the guy running it said that, no one else, this is a multiplayer game. You need at least 3 players. Well, we could run it where both of us run 2 different factions or something. Or we can, go to the ocean. So I decided, it's a Euro game. I do have the same problem as Dave has. The first time around gets strange. Mm-hmm. And Sunday morning, I don't feel like learning anything new, and I just couldn't get into the Panzer Girl game. So I went over, and I knew something was up when halfway through the game, I got this whole stack of money, and the 2 guys who had played this before aren't worried about me. I mean, usually when you're running a shipping company, the more money you make, the better it is. But you also had to make investments in other things, because I pointed out at the end that these shipping companies would take their profits and invest in other industries, so that when there's a slack in shipping, they'd invest in the steel industry. So if there's a slack in the shipping, they can get their profits from steel making and whatever.
Mm.
I was disappointed in all the freebies. There wasn't anything good this time.
I got some freebie stuff too. It was all right. The stuff. It's freebies, so.
Oh, I should bring some of the Rockford stuff. The freebies from the year before. That's when they got a lot of good stuff.
They even had I guess you would call it thread for 3D printers, the actual material they used to print with. They were given out for free. I don't have a 3D printer, but if you had one, it'd be a good thing to get for free.
Yeah, because aren't those things expensive?
I have no idea. The 3D printers used to be expensive. Now you can get one that's really good for sub $1,000. Used to be to get a really good one, you had to pay $20,000 to $40,000. Now you can get a borderline really good one for about $1,000. Obviously, if you're going to start a professional business, you're going to get one more expensive than that. But for the average person, $500 to $1,000 will get you something that you actually find to be useful. The old 3D printers had such poor quality. It's like anytime something was 3D printed, you can see all the lines on it and stuff look just terrible. It's not like that anymore with the new printers. It looks much better.
Each year they get better and better.
Yeah. There was a company years ago, my friend had stock in, it was called 3D Systems, and they were doing 3D printing before 3D printing anyone even knew what it was. I'll have to check someday and see how that stock's doing, or if they're even still in business.
Or they've been bought by the competitors.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. Because sometimes with these guys, if they're smart, they get to a certain point, they sell to somebody and take their $1 million and live in luxury in Tahiti.
Well, a lot of these startups, once the startup's like established, it may not be making a profit. What they try to do is they try to find someone to buy the startup for some absurd amount of money, and then they take the money and they're set for life. And the company who bought the company just bought a company that's never made a profit. So, but this type of stuff happens all the time.
The customer sees the potential.
Yeah. You want to hear not to get offhand, but or off topic, but the craziest thing I ever heard of is Yahoo had the chance to buy Google for not $1 billion, but 1 million with an M, and they turned down the opportunity. I mean, Google's worth like a $1 trillion company now.
That's true. All right, and then a week later, we are at Wars in Woodstock.
Yeah. Yeah, Wars in Woodstock. I only got there for the second game because the baby was up all night. Therefore, I was up all night, and I got like zero sleep. So once the baby was finally up in the morning, I went to sleep for about 3-4 hours, and then went there for the second game. Yeah. But what did we play on the second game? I'm trying to remember. What game was that?
You played something else, because I played the Mexicans and the versus the Foreign Legion.
Gotcha. I don't even remember what game it was.
Anyway, in the morning I played In Country. The problem was I can't...
That's what I played, In Country. That's the game I played. Yeah.
You had the afternoon session.
Yeah.
I came in late, so I and the guy I was playing with, we didn't have any time to really talk. It's literally, I sat down, okay, you move first, what?
Yeah, In Country is an interesting game. I'm all into the... play fast games, but that takes it to an extreme. I mean, it's got stuff where you got guys who are wearing body armor's plates on the front and the back and a helmet, and someone throws a grenade, and the grenade kills like 6 people, which is ridiculous. And it's like there's so many insta kills in it. If you happen to be out of cover for 1 second, I mean, your squad's basically dead.
Yeah, that's the thing I was beginning to question, is that... Well, I was controlling a Hamish squad, and maybe they don't have the armor that the other guys have. Mm-hmm. But I was killing Israelis left and right. Of course, overall, we ended up with a tie, because I lost the hostage I was holding. Mm-hmm. But the big bad drove his car away.
Yeah, another thing that needs is I guess you would call it like a company morale check, or you know what I mean? Because when we were playing, we had this, basically the enemy were Russians, and they had 4 gun trucks, and most of them had troops in it. We destroyed all 4 gun trucks and a few of the troops that were inside of them. I mean, at that point, they should have had to take a company morale check after losing all their vehicles by the second turn and stuff, but there was none. So the Russians actually ended up winning due to the fact that the guy playing them had played In Country a lot more than me. I mean, I've played the game like three or 4 times in my life, and it's usually it's so far in between that I forget the rules by the time I play it the next time.
Yeah, because this is the first time. Like I had something about one guy. There was a foxhole in a road intersection, so I approached to throw a grenade, and he asked me, well, how many grenades? Well, how many can I throw? 3. Okay, 3. You didn't, no one told me that the entire side had only 3 hand grenades, so I screwed up my allies, the other guy's plan of attack. But boy, did I rolled good for, I killed people left and right with a grenade.
Yeah, and another thing is the Overwatch rules on it are pretty broken. You can have a fire team with 3 or 4 guys in it. and you can have like 2 guys go on Overwatch and 2 not. I mean, I don't know. It just didn't feel right. I mean, typically if you have a game that has Overwatch rules, an entire squad has to be on Overwatch, or it's not on Overwatch. You don't get to pick, well, this figure's on Overwatch, but this one isn't. That kind of broke the game, too, because then no matter where you move on the battlefield, there's someone on Overwatch. You know, so what they'll do if you're like firing back and forth and they got 4 guys, 3 of them will fire back, and the other one they'll just keep on Overwatch. So anytime someone gets in the open, then that what you have to do in order to move, they get creamed. So
Well, I always thought like with squad, you put half on Overwatch, the other half advances, and once they get
that's how you do it in real life. But I mean, in this game, in a fire team, which is like basically the smallest maneuvering unit in the military, you can have half on or just 1 on Overwatch and the other 3 not, which kind of breaks a game, in my opinion.
Yeah, so
I mean, there's no suppression rules either. I mean, instead of like having the steroid Overwatch rules, they should have had something, a better suppression rule or something. I mean, it's got pinning and stuff, but I don't know. Like I said, it's like you step in the open because you have to go to the building next door, boom, you're creamed. That's the problem with the game.
well, I would understand if you're hit, you're a casualty, and then later you determine whether you're wounded or
Right, yeah. Well, so, they did have some stuff where your figure can be wounded and stuff, but it's more likely it's just going to be creamed.
Yeah, because I think a lot of times if you're hit, like you hit in the leg, you go down, and you're effectively out of the battle.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if it's one where people are moving away from you, then at the end of the game you find out that you have only you're wounded in the leg, but a month later you're back at the hospital or something.
And another thing, they have like with the special weapons, like let's say a disposable anti-tank weapon, you didn't have to assign it to a specific troop. They'd say you have 2 of them. And, you got like, I don't know, 5 fire teams or something. So then when a truck comes, you just say, oh, yeah, that guy's got the anti-tank weapon. You know what I mean? So that kind of breaks the game, too.
Yeah.
So, or if only that one fire team goes up against the trucks, then they'll have all the anti-tank weapons. You don't have to determine this beforehand.
Yeah, you just happen to know which fire team's going to
you're just allowed to pick and choose which one gets it, which I thought was goofy. And another thing they had, like with the grenade launcher, like the one attached to the bottom of the M16, what was that called, an M203 or whatever?
Yeah.
I mean, those things were killing like 4 or 5 guys at a time, which is ridiculous, because I was reading some of the guys who were using those in Afghanistan were just calling it a suppression weapon. They said it's so rare that it'll either injure someone to the point where they can't fight or they'll die, that they just considered it something to suppress enemy fire. I guess, yeah, if you hit the guy in the chest or something, yeah, you're going to kill him. But, I mean, if it lands like 3 feet away from you, you're just going to get some shrapnel, which isn't going to put you out of the fight.
Yeah,
I mean, the little ball that comes out, the explosive's only about that big. It's pretty small.
Well, don't forget a lot of guys, you get a little wound. Oh, I'm wounded. Time to go back to the medical center. Yeah, I got my red badge of courage. So it's like, how do I know it was just a minor wound? Hell, it hurt like the bejeepers. I can't rate the morale roll because he noted that both me and my opponent passed them like with flying colors. And I was thinking Hamas, is not the world's greatest combat force in the world. I mean, whatever you call poor quality should be assigned to a Hamas. So, I was thinking the guys in country are a little too brave. They seem to just hang around.
Mm-hmm.
Morale should be more worrisome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just too bloody, the game, way too bloody. And like I said, with the Overwatch rules, they got to tone those down a bit. It should be by units, not by individual figure.
Yeah, you had that space game that was not bloody, and then In Country was very bloody.
Yeah, well, that was at 2 separate conventions, though. The Space Marine game was at Rockcon. This one was at, what was it called? Wars in Woodstock, yeah.
And also, what the next game, Dave joined at the end, was we had a long game. It was a... the French Foreign Legion in Mexico being attacked by Mexican locals and the federales and the guerrillas and everything. And actually, I remember.
I was using those cowboy rules, the ones with the cards. What was that called?
Fistful of Lead.
Yeah, Fistful of Lead, which works great for a skirmish game, but that game, with the 4-inch movement and stuff, it looked like it really dragged out the game. They should have had a smaller table for the game due to the small movement and stuff, and it basically one figure is activating at a time, and you got 8 players, so it doesn't scale well. That's really a